I never imagined my life would cross paths with someone like him. I was just trying to survive, trying to keep my head down and my world small enough that it wouldn't hurt me anymore. I worked long hours, came home exhausted, and told myself that dreams were a luxury meant for other people. Power, wealth, danger, those things belonged to a different universe. Or so I thought. The night everything changed, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or maybe, in his world, it was exactly the right place. I was leaving my second job when a black car pulled up beside me. The street was quiet, too quiet, and before I could even react, two men stepped out. There was no shouting, no panic. Just calm, controlled movements. Fear froze me where I stood. Then he stepped out of the car. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten me. He simply looked at me, and somehow that was worse. His presence was heavy, commanding, like the air itself bent around him. I later learned his name carried fear across cities, whispered in deals made in shadows. He was the richest mafia boss in the country, a man who controlled everything without ever having to ask. He told me I wasn't in trouble. That should have comforted me, but it didn't. Instead, my heart raced as he said he had been watching me. Not in a creepy way, he added, as if that made it better. He admired my strength, my silence, the way I never begged life to be easier. He said something about choices and fate, words that felt unreal coming from someone like him. When he said he had chosen me, I laughed. I thought it was a joke, a misunderstanding that would clear up if I just walked away. But his eyes never left mine. They were dark, calculating, yet there was something else there too. Curiosity. Interest. Ownership. He didn't force me that night. He surprised me by letting me go. But from that moment on, my life was no longer mine alone. The gifts started small. Money left anonymously. Problems solved before I even spoke about them. When someone tried to harass me at work, they disappeared from my life completely. I should have been terrified, and part of me was, but another part felt protected in a way I had never known before. Eventually, he asked me to meet him again. This time, I said yes. His world was nothing like mine. Mansions guarded by armed men. Luxury that felt unreal. Power that pulsed through every room he entered. Yet when we were alone, he was quieter, almost controlled to the point of restraint. He told me he didn't trust easily. That most people around him were loyal out of fear, not respect. He said I was different. I challenged him, something no one else dared to do. I asked why a man who could have anyone wanted me. His answer was simple. I didn't want him. I wasn't impressed by his money or afraid of his reputation. I saw him as a man, not a legend. That honesty fascinated him. The more time I spent with him, the more conflicted I became. He was dangerous, ruthless to his enemies, capable of things I didn't want to imagine. Yet with me, he was careful. He listened. He protected without smothering. He never lied about who he was, and in a strange way, that honesty felt safer than pretty words from good men who hid their intentions. Still, I resisted. I told him I didn't belong in his world. He agreed. Then he told me his world had already decided it wanted me. Being his choice didn't mean fairy tales or easy love. It meant learning the weight of his power. It meant understanding that loving him would always come with shadows. There were nights I couldn't sleep, haunted by the knowledge of what he was capable of. There were days I questioned my own morality, wondering if affection could exist alongside fear. But there were also moments of quiet. Shared meals without guards hovering too close. Conversations where he spoke about his past, about the boy he once was before the world taught him that mercy was weakness. In those moments, I saw the cost of his empire. Loneliness. Constant vigilance. A life where trust was a gamble. He never demanded love. He never forced loyalty. He told me I could walk away at any time. Yet every time I tried, something pulled me back. Not his power, but the strange connection we had built in honesty and understanding. I realized then that being chosen by a man like him wasn't about possession. It was about recognition. In a world where he owned everything, he wanted someone who couldn't be bought. Someone who saw his darkness and didn't romanticize it, yet didn't run from it either. In the end, my choice mattered too. I chose him knowing the risks. I chose a life that would never be simple. I chose to stand beside a man feared by many, not because of his wealth or power, but because behind the mafia boss was a man who had chosen me not as a trophy, but as an equal in a world where equals were rare. And in making that choice, I stopped being just a survivor of life. I became someone who faced it head-on, even when it stood dressed in danger, power, and a love that was anything but ordinary.